Hi, my name is Megan Seibel. I'm talking to you today from Mountain View Farm and Vineyard in Roanoke, Virginia. Here at Mountain View, we run a commercial cow-calf operation. We also grow commercial wine grapes. We live in an area that is developing rapidly, and there are very few larger producer farmers left in the area. It also gives us an opportunity to bring people in and tell them a little bit about agriculture, and have our children situated in schools where it's rare for a child to actually be firsthand in production anymore. And it gives them a nice, well-rounded opportunity. We have about 20 acres of commercial wine grapes here, which is relatively small compared to other areas in the country. But Virginia has managed to situate itself as the 5th largest commercial grape producing state in the nation, and it's an industry that we're really proud of, and Virginia is growing rapidly.
Mountain View Farm, we've got a beef cattle cow-calf operation and also a commercial vineyard. And obviously nobody gets into agriculture thinking that it's all going to be easy and issue-free. So as we prepare for harvest after a severe drought situation this summer, things are just sort of up in air. We've got several varieties that are coming in this weekend, first weekend in August, much earlier than anticipated because of huge rises in sugar due to the drought. And as much as grapes can tolerate a lot of drought and dry weather, the cows obviously cannot. So we're pretty unable right now to grow any new hay and are pretty short going into the winter, and have already been feeding hay. So I certainly love the view up here early in the morning, and then at sunset we have an equally beautiful opportunity because behind us the sun sets over this other mountain, which is really nice because we get both morning and afternoon views. I'm particularly short-handed today, which is a bit of a concern. We only have about 8 to 10 tons of fruit coming in off of this block here, but only 8 people showed up this morning to help me out, so it'll be a long day. Ordinarily, we would hope, especially in August, to get most of the fruit down, hand-sorted, and onto the reefer unit before about noontime so that it can chill to 35 degrees. Okay, so another substantial problem we have is bird control, as you might imagine, with fruit that gets ripe. And this year, especially with the extreme dry weather we had in June and July, the bird pressure has been tremendous. So that squawking noise you heard was an automated bird scare device that we have that unfortunately doesn't always protect them or drive them crazy. I have another block of Chardonnay I'll show you later that's still just packed with crows, and they'll sit right on the speakers. The other thing that we'll do though is encase the fruit in net. Many years we'll only need to the ends of the rows where the pressure is the highest, but this year we've had to do full lengths. The other thing we really need to consider is crop load considerations. So in keeping a plant's pretty well balanced as far as having a good ratio of leaves to fruit, sometimes we'll have to thin some things. So you can see in the aisleway here remnants of some shoots that were providing too much shade that have been thinned off. We also went through this block last week and pulled off excess clusters, or where there might have been 2 clusters on a shoot that was too small to support it, all the way through maturation. This first harvest morning of the year, we're about 3 weeks ahead of what our normal schedule is for picking. We're picking Pinot Grigio. All of the vineyard pruning and harvest work has to get done by hand, so it's pretty labor intensive. They're just using hand clippers and going in and picking it bunch by bunch, and then we transfer it to 20-pound lugs and then hand sort those as they get transferred into half-ton bins, which look like this one here. Harvest decisions are made based on the chemistry of the fruit. So for example, these grapes that are hanging behind us right now are at about 18 bricks as well, just like the ones we're picking, but because of the usage and the difference between sparkling wines and table still wines, they get picked differently as well. So quickly this morning, before I get back down to harvesting, I was asked by the grower of the Chardonnay that we're harvesting tomorrow to just do one more sugar check on the fruit. This is probably one of the simplest things that we do to decide whether or not it's time to pick and decide what kind of pattern we're establishing with the heat that we have each day, the amount of cloud coverage we have, and the increase in chemistry in the fruit so that we can decide exactly when to pick it. In ideal conditions, the chemistry is where you want it. You've got about 24 hours to get it down cold and out of here. We ran more complicated acid tests yesterday, and all he wanted me to check this morning was the sugar. So I'm partway done pulling a sample. Basically, we'll just pull about 200 random berries as we drive through the field, front, back, top, bottom of clusters, and they will be from about 20 different spots over a 3-acre block or so. And then we literally just crush it and put a little bit of juice on this refractometer and look through the lens, and it gives us an idea of what the sugar reading is measured in Brix, as it is for most fruits. When we're ready to harvest the grapes, we come through, and basically on harvest day we'll use pruners just like this and go through and literally hand clip every bunch there is and drop it into the 30-pound basket. It takes a considerable amount of time, and even a skilled picker can only pick about 10, 25-pound baskets or so an hour. And most people move a little bit slower than that. This fruit is not quite ripe for yet. You can see we're going through veraison, which is the process of fruit changing color and getting to the point where it's ready to just accumulate sugar and build maturation. A veraison is the French terminology for that, and we've sort of Americanized it a little bit. At this point in time, as we are about 4 to 5 weeks out from picking this Cabernet variety, probably go through and pick out any smaller secondary clusters to drop, as well as any clusters that are considerably green and most likely won't mature at all, either because of small berries due to weather or an occasional situation where we have what we call shot berries. Most of the clusters we look for need to be fairly consistent, but this one, for example, has some smaller berries in it, so we'll go through and cut that out as well. So a lot of the tasks I've shown you throughout the vineyard are really labor intensive. That's color from the skin, which is really nice. And there's a lot of handwork that goes through. We spend hours and hours per row, training vines, thinning leaves, and going through and sorting fruit. The other thing that we'll look for, in addition to the Brix, which I showed you with the refractometer earlier, as the fruit matures, we'll check and see if the seeds have begun to brown at all. So this one has just slightly started. And then we'll also taste the fruit and see how sweet it is and what the acid content is, and then chew the skin to see what the tannic quality it is. And then we should also be able to extract some red tannins from the skin. Cabernet Franc tends not to have as extreme a color extraction early on as some of the other red varieties. Reefer unit, where they get chilled to 35 degrees, and then that's how they get transported then to their final destination. So inside the reefer, we've got double stacked half-ton bins so that it can chill down to about 35 degrees. Here at Mountain View, we run about 100 cow-calf pairs, do artificial insemination twice a year so that we have spring and fall calves. And that works pretty well for us and kind of keeps things going in these other pasture fields. Grapes were the reason that we diversified as a way to sort of increase income when the cattle market's low, so we can try and keep the farm and the family. Thanks from Mountain View Farm. It's been a joy to show you around as we've brought in our harvest and discuss what we do with our cow and calf operation. It's exciting to be in production agriculture and also to hold other careers that we have so that our children can get a really well-rounded experience with what we do. We set goals as a family and teach them that the fruits of our labor are the most joyous things that happen. And even when things don't go as planned, as often happens with agriculture, we can learn from those mistakes and lessons as well. I hope to produce for you for many years, and I encourage each of you to learn what farmers and ranchers do for your communities, your states, for our nation, and for the world as a whole. Thanks.